So as I'm sitting here preparing for the world race, I think about different stories from different mission trips in country and out of country. And I sit here thinking about the one time in Colombia when I went with Second Baptist Church, and I am second, to walk the streets, to share the gospel, to step in my true calling, a calling for the kingdom, not of myself. As I stepped out of myself, as I stepped out of being afraid, I was blessed to be able to walk the streets of Colombia, where we set up on a corner with a magician who drew a crowd, and I was praying with the family. And as I stepped out of the prayer, I could hear the pastor from that community saying we need a missionary to come over and pray for this baby's cleft foot. And I thought, healing, oh my gosh, that's something I've always wanted to see, but also something I struggled with believing in. So I began to duck and hide behind different people as they were praying, thinking maybe I could get past them and they would call another missionary to say this prayer. But no, God had a different answer. God knew I needed to build my faith. So the pastor and the missionary group that we were working with saw me and chose to pull me over and call me over and say, this baby has a cleft foot, and this child will never be able to walk. We would like you to pray for him. I remember that moment so vividly. I remember my heart dropping, thinking, who am I? How could I ask something like this? But I began to pray. And all I could do is say, God, you are the only answer. God, if it is your will, then let this baby's foot begin to turn around. And let this baby come to know you. And let this baby choose to glorify you and tell the world about what you have done in his life. And if it's not your will, God, then let this baby still come to know you, and let him have a testimony, and let him make a difference in this world. Let me tell you, I left that prayer thinking, what did I just say? What is going to happen? Is God actually going to answer? On Friday, we had a victory service where all the different communities would come together and share about what God did in each and every area, and how the missionaries worked, and how much of a blessing we were, and how much of a blessing God brought to Colombia through the actions that we were able to provide. And I was standing in the back just praying and worshiping. I tend to draw away from the big crowd. And as I'm back there standing there thinking, man, what are they going to say? Next, the pastors from my area stepped up and said, man, we had a move of God in our area. And God chose to send Jonathan Combs and different missionaries to our area. And Jonathan was able to pray for a baby with a cleft foot. A cleft foot is a foot that is turned backwards. Jonathan stepped up and prayed for this baby that the cleft foot would begin to turn around. He said, "Let me tell you, I went to visit that mother and child yesterday, and that baby's foot has began to turn around. I wholeheartedly believe that God healed that baby." And that was like 8 years ago now. That is a young child being able to run and play and being able to share with others about how good God is. I still struggle with healing, with leaning into healing, believing in healing, because I have never physically seen it face to face. But I sit here thinking about God is going to show me something different on this race. And I cannot wait to see what God is going to show us. God is going to do a new work in us. God is going to do a new work through us. I'm getting excited. God is going to do amazing things, and I cannot wait to see what He does. I'm so ready for the world race. To step out of my comfort zone again. Not for myself, not to have anyone look at me or see me, but for God to be seen. And for a community to be changed for God's glory. I pray for healing on this trip, in me and through me, in my teammates and through my teammates. I pray that healing will overflow through the lands, into the countries, and that God will be glorified. I pray for each of my teammates that we would draw close to the Spirit and lean into Him, and that He would move mountains. I know we have more faith than that mustard seed of faith. And there's 44 of us standing together. We can move mountains. I cannot wait to see what God is going to do.